In this section, we will be talking about 8.6, cars. Cars are in its own specific section because of the type of loans that we use to pay off a car. It's called an installment loan. Installment loans is when you make payments over a period of time, weekly, monthly, or yearly. Our regular monthly loans is called a fixed installment, and it is identified by this equation here. If you go back to our formula sheet, you will see that we talked about simple interest in 8.3. We talked about compound interest in 8.4. Annuities was 8.5, and then this one is going to be 8.6. Okay? It talks about the equal payments. So this equation, we're now using a PMT, which is our payment installments, how much we're going to pay over a course of time. R is still our rate given as a percentage but used as a decimal. The P this time is the amount of the loan we have to repay. It is the total amount. N is the repayment times in a year. And T, of course, is going to be the time, usually in years. Let's look at an example here. Suppose that you decide to borrow $15,000 for a new car. You can select one of the following. A, 4 years at a loan of 8%, or B, a 6-year loan at 10%. Find the monthly payments and the total interest of your loan. We're going to go ahead and start with that equation from 8.6. Anytime you're looking for a payment, use the last equation. P is going to be the amount that you borrowed, which is $15,000. For part A, our rate was 8%, divided by N is going to be 12 because we're making monthly payments, and that's how many payments we would make in a year. We're dividing all of that by 1 minus parentheses 1 plus our rate, 8%, divided by 12 again. Close the parentheses, and notice here you have to include a negative sign. And then your number of payments, which is 12 for the course of 4 years, because T is 4 here. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to enter this into the calculator all at the same time. Once again, you need to make sure to include parentheses in the numerator and an extra set in the denominator as you see it here. Any missing parentheses could result in an incorrect answer. I'm going to start with the numerator parentheses and put in 15,000 times 8% divided by 12. Because there's no plus and minus, I don't need to include any additional parentheses. Okay. Close the parentheses for the numerator, then include the division bar. Add a new parentheses for the denominator, and because we have negatives and positives here, you have to put the numbers in exactly the way it's shown. So I'm going to put 1 minus parentheses 1 plus 8% divided by 12. Close the parentheses. When I raise it to our power, notice that we have a little negative sign. That means we need to include that here as well. But remember, when you're dealing with exponents, you need to include another set of parentheses. Use the negative sign that's down here and not this one. I'm going to put minus 12 times 4. I'm going to close the parentheses for the exponent, and then I'm going to add the 1 for the denominator. When I press enter, you will see that we have a value of $366.19. That would round to approximately $366. If you want to do this in breaking it up, you can do that as well. Just make sure to keep the numbers exactly as you see it here. I'm going to go ahead and show you that way as well. 15,000 times 8% divided by 12. Here you can see we have a value in the numerator of 100. For the denominator, I'm going to start with this value here first. I'm going to say 1 plus 8% divided by 12. when I press enter, this number here is everything inside the parentheses. Remember, you have to raise that to a negative 48. I did 48 because 12 times 4 is 48. When I press enter, I get this value here. Okay. If you're going to store the information, make sure to use the store button at the bottom. I'm going to store it in value A. Now I want to go ahead and do 1 minus, and I'm going to recall the calculation I got for this part here. So I'm going to press second, store, and then I'm going to recall A. So I'm just going to press enter. When I press enter again, I have a value of this, which you can see I wrote here. Do not use the approximation. You need to use exact value, so don't round this value. I'm going to go ahead and store this number into my B section. Now I can put 100 and divide that by B. So second, recall, B. When I press enter again, I will see that I still get the same value of $366.19. Let's go ahead and calculate the interest. If I make payments of $366 12 times a year for 4 years, I'm going to be paying a total of $17,568. But remember, our original loan was only $15,000. So if I subtract the $15,000, I will see that I paid an additional $2,568. Let's see how that compares to loan B. Find the monthly payment and the total interest for loan B. Okay. We're using the same formula as before, but this time we're changing our interest rate to 10%, and our time is going to be 6 years. Okay. That's what it says here. So let's go ahead and put this entire thing into the calculator at once. I'm going to go ahead and use an open parentheses for my numerator and put in my 15,000 times 10%. I'm going to divide that by 12 and close the parentheses. Divide again, open a new set of parentheses, and put it exactly the way you see it, making sure to include parentheses on our exponents. So 1 minus parentheses 1 plus 10%, divide by 12, close it, and then raise it, parentheses, negative 12 times 6. Close the parentheses for the exponent, close it for the denominator, and when I press enter, you will see a value of $277.89. Remember, the 7 is greater than 5, so you round the 8 up to 9. This is approximately $278. Now let's go ahead and find out our interest. If we make payments of $278 12 times a year for 6 years, we will pay a total of $20,016. Remember, our original loan was for $15,000. So if I subtract that from the amount that I pay, it means that I'm going to be paying an interest $5,016. Part C says compare the monthly payments and total interest for the two loans. Well, we already said the monthly payments are lower with the 6-year loan. Here you're only paying $278, but we are also paying more interest. Here is an alternative to purchasing a car. You can also lease one. There are two types of leasing. There's a close-ended leasing where you make a fixed payment based on the estimate usage. When the lease ends, you pay for the miles that you used over your estimate. Open-end lease is when you make a fixed payment based on residual value. The residual value is an estimate of the resale value of the car at the end of your lease, and it is determined by the dealer. When the car is returned, the residual value is compared to the appraised value. If the appraised value is less than the residual, then you have to pay the difference, either all of it or just a portion. If the appraised value is higher, then you owe nothing, or in some cases, you can get a refund. The advantages of leasing is that you have a small down payment and sometimes none at all. Your payments will be lower than the loan payments for the same car. And when your lease ends, you can return the car and you don't have to be concerned about reselling the vehicle. However, there are also disadvantages to leasing. You do not own the car. The mileage limits between 12,000 to 15,000 a year. You have considerable charges if you exceed those limits. With mileage penalties and other costs, the total cost of leasing is almost always more expensive than financing your own car. You must keep the car in perfect condition because you're liable for any damage. It does not cover maintenance, and you have penalties if you end your lease early. Auto insurance. Liability insurance is required by nearly every state. You have bodily injury liability that covers the cost of the lawsuit if someone is injured or killed in which you are at fault. Property damage liability covers the damage to other cars and property if you are at fault while using your vehicle. If you have a collision insurance, it pays for the damage or the loss of your vehicle if you're in an accident. And comprehensive coverage protects your car from things such as fire, theft, falling objects, nature, and collisions with an animal. Let's look at the next example. Suppose that you have two options. You can buy a new car for $19,000, 3 years at 6.18%. Or you can get a used car for $11,500, still at 3 years and 7.5% interest. What is the difference in the monthly payments? The first thing we do is use our payment calculation. For the new car, the payment was $19,000. Our interest rate is 6.18. Our N is going to be 12 since we're making monthly payments. In the denominator, I went ahead and put the rate again and the 12. Raised to a negative 12 times 3 because we have 3 years. Let's calculate the payment in the calculator all at once. Okay. Again, I'm going to use an open set of parentheses for the numerator and start with 19,000 times 6.18% divided by 12. Close parentheses, and then I'm going to go ahead and do another division sign. Parentheses, 1 minus parentheses, 1 plus 6.18% divided by 12. When I close this set of parentheses, I'm going to go ahead and put my caret and open a new set. The negative is going to be the one here at the bottom, and I'm going to put 12 times 3. Close the exponent parentheses, and then you're going to close the parentheses for the denominator. When I press enter, we get $579.57. We're going to round up to $580. For the used car, our payments are going to be $11,500, and our interest rate is more, 7.5%. All the other information remains the same. So let's go ahead and calculate this into the calculator. Start with an open parentheses and put 11,500 times 7.5% divide by 12. Close the parentheses for the numerator, divide and open a new set for the denominator. 1 minus parentheses 1 plus 7.5% divided by 12. Close this parentheses and raise that with a new set of parentheses, always for your exponents. Negative 12 times 3. Close the set for the exponents, and then you're going to close the set for the denominator. When you press enter, you will see a value of $357.72, or we can use 358. It says, what is the difference in monthly payments? Well, if the new car was $580 and the used car payments was $358, our difference would be $222. Regardless of whatever option you're going with, buying your car, new or used, or leasing a car, you still have to pay for gasoline. So let's figure out the cost of gasoline. Our annual fuel expense is going to be our annual miles driven, so how many miles did you drive, divided by the miles per gallon, times the price per gallon. So let's look at an example. Suppose you drive 36,000 miles a year and the gas averages at $3.50 per gallon. As you can see, you're given your miles per year, which is our annual miles driven, and you're also given your price. Part A, what would you save in the annual fuel expense by owning a hybrid car averaging 40 miles per gallon rather than an SUV averaging 15 miles per gallon? We're going to start with our hybrid, which gives us an average of 40 miles per gallon. If we're driving 36,000 miles a year, we want to divide that by the 40 miles per gallon. And the average price would be $3.50. So let's figure out how much money it would cost to fuel this car for 1 year. 36,000 divided by 40 is 900 times $3.50. So the hybrid would cost $3,150 for a year. Now let's look at the SUV. If you drive 36,000 miles, but this time you only get 15 miles per gallon, and the cost is still $3.50, let's figure out how much you would be paying for gas to operate the SUV. 36,000 divided by 15 times $3.50. It would cost you $8,400 for gas for the SUV. So the difference would be $8,400 minus $3,150. You would be saving $5,250 on gas if you used your hybrid. Part B says, now deposit the amount you would save into an annuity that pays 7.25% compounded monthly. How much would you have in 7 years? Round to the nearest dollar. We're going to be using the annuity equation that we have here. Our payments, or our principal, is going to be the amount that we're putting in at the end of each month. So if we have saved $52.50, we're going to divide that up into 12 parts. We are saving $437.50 each month if we go with the hybrid. That's approximately $480. So our payments are going to be $481 plus 7.25%, which is our R, divided by 12 since we're compounding it monthly. Raise that to 12 times 7. Minus 1, all of that divided by 7.25% divided by 12. Let's go ahead and plug this into the calculator exactly the way we see it. I'm going to use a set of parentheses for the numerator. 438, another set of parentheses, and notice I have another set of parentheses. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the way I see it. 1 plus 7.25% divided by 12. I'm going to raise that and put parentheses around here. You could also multiply these together. 12 times 7 would be 84. So I'm just going to go ahead and put 84. Minus 1, and then a set of parentheses here, and then the one that we used for the numerator. All of this divided by parentheses 7.25% divided by 12. Close it. When I hit enter, you will see that we get a value of $47,746. The 13 cents is disregarded because we are rounding to the nearest dollar. This is a great example of showing if you buy a car that's energy efficient, you can use the money that you saved and put it into the bank to earn you money. This concludes 8.6. Please let me know if you have any questions.